Do you want to rule the skies of war thunder and rain terror upon your enemies? Do you have a reasonable amount of disposable income and want to spend it on a free-to-play online video game? Do you have what it takes to click your enemies to death? Well, in that case, this review / should you buy video of the A2D-1 Skyshark will be perfect for you. Welcome everyone. This is Tankenstein, come to you live and direct from the middle of nowhere, the center of everywhere, to bring to you today, as mentioned in the intro, your full should you buy / review video for the A2D-1 Skyshark, the rank 4 American premium attack plane that sits at 7.0 for arcade and 6.7 for realistic and simulator. I'll be going over quite a bit in this video, including its stats, some detailed win-loss stats, including some kill percentages or kill amounts per match. I'll be going over its role, pros and cons, my aggregate scores for this plane, and also I will give you my final recommendation as to whether or not you should purchase this plane and as to what conditions you should do so, as in if you should do so only with a discount or whatever the case may be. Either way, before I get into the video, please subscribe. It means so much to me. But without further ado, let's get into it. So let's go over stats first and foremost, because that's likely what you noticed first when looking at this plane and deciding whether or not to purchase it. It has a top speed of 796 kilometers per hour, 7.1 kilograms per second of burst from 4 20mm T-31 cannons, about a 25-second turn time, a 34.4 meter per second rate of climb, and the ability to carry up to 8,000 pounds of bombs and or rockets on 20 hard points. And when I say and or rockets, it cannot carry 8,000 pounds of rockets, but rather carry a combination of bombs and rockets on up to, again, those 20 hard points. Another very important factor in determining whether or not you should purchase this plane is its win rate in actual matches. And in arcade, it sits at about a 45.76% win rate across 961 games played. And that is with 0.83 air frags per battle and 2.65 ground frags per battle. However, in realistic and simulator, the results are significantly better for the Skyshark. Realistic, you see a 71.13% win rate across 8,934 games played, with only 0.44 air frags per battle and 1.56 ground frags per battle. And in simulator, you see a 62.45% win rate across 1,264 games played. And that includes a 1.99 air frags per battle rating and 4.95 ground frags per battle. Another very important thing regarding the Skyshark is its specified role. And being that this is kind of a jack of all trades, it gets murky at points, being that it is sometimes difficult to pinpoint its best role in any given match. That being said, it is an extremely fluid fighter, an extremely fluid attacker, and also an extremely fluid bomber. So that kind of gives you an idea of the role this serves. So that being all said, the role varies dramatically depending on your game mode. If, for example, you want to play arcade, this plane is by far and away most effective as a bomber, being that you can carry 4 tons of bombs and get to a relatively safe altitude quickly. From this altitude, you will likely have the advantage on any enemy trying to attack you, making it so that you may oftentimes have several aerial kills per match. This fact brings up an additional point. The Skyshark is a single-engined attacker which, while not incredibly nimble, is far more nimble than most bombers in this game and is significantly faster than all bombers and attackers before you start getting into jets. This plane, if needed, could turn into a dogfighter, as its frontal armament is actually pretty good and could make short work of most enemies regardless of their size. Now, when playing in realistic, it would behoove you to save more as an attacker. The main reason for this is because your ammunition and bombs won't continue to spawn as they otherwise would in arcade. you can typically outrun most propeller planes while knocking out tons of ground troops, and if playing with tanks, tons of enemy player vehicles in a close air support role. In aerial battles, flying close to the ground will likely ensure a greater likelihood to hit your target, and while using your speed and some level of agility, you should hopefully be able to escape and then land at base to rearm, repair, and refuel. An alternative role could be to gain medium and high altitude and then drop bombs from this plane, hopefully hitting, and then switch to an attacker role with rockets and cannon fire immediately thereafter. And in addition to its role, there are a few important things to note. So first and foremost, I'll say if you want to make quick and easy money, play arcade. This is doubly true if you have a premium account. I earn tens of thousands of silver lines net per match, and that's even with the matches that I die and I do not have an awesome game. Additionally, another thing to note is that when flying the Skyshark, you will likely notice tons of planes trying to kill you. Oftentimes, they will gain just enough altitude for them to stall out just before getting their guns into range of you, making them an easy target for you to swoop down and kill them. Additionally, you can oftentimes attack nearly all heavy bombers from a very advantageous position above them because of the incredible rate of climb of the Skyshark. And for my last real major thing to note here, one of the key defining features of the A2D-1 is the fact that it does not have a traditional bomb sight and must rely instead on bombing via guesswork, dive bombing, or low-level bombing/attack runs. Even in arcade, the bombs are not all too accurate and will oftentimes barely scrape enemy bases when being dropped from a few thousand meters up. The area of uncertainty in the arcade bomb reticle is huge with this plane. This is made up for in arcade with unlimited bomb spawns and a large payload, but it will be much more difficult to account for in realistic and simulator matches. That being said, upgrade your crew ASAP. This is extremely important, especially in arcade, being that you will then be able to reload all of your ammunition in flight very quickly and will thus be able to just keep bombing enemy bases, enemy ground troops, or really just keep on attacking any enemy planes that continue to fly and try to kill you. Now, for my pros and cons, I will start off with the pros first, and there are a ton of them. It can carry some of the best payloads in game. For a single engine attacker that can also somewhat double as a fighter, it carries up to 8,000 pounds of bombs, which is enough to essentially destroy 2 bases in realistic. That is unheard of almost anywhere else in this game. It has an amazing top speed for a prop and is even great for its 6.7/7.0 BR, especially considering it's going up against jets at that range. It has excellent cannons and ammo capacity. Good durability, though sometimes this will make you a target of rammers in realistic, as you will likely see later in this video. It has 2 engines, though just 1 unified transmission, but this makes it tougher to truly slow this plane down. Also, the placement of the engines really keeps it well protected unless you're being shot from underneath you. It has premium bonuses plus an insane armament, which equals a ridiculous amount of silver lions and RP per match. It has extremely easy event grinds, and especially for the task to drop bombs. It also is one of the absolute best close air support planes in the game. And as an additional bonus, as an additional pro, it gets air spawn in realistic. This thing has tons of pros, and I'll get into the cons now, but it really has very few cons. So for the cons, most of these aren't really related to the plane so much as the circumstances surrounding it, being that it is a high-tier, premium American plane that is a bomber, dogfighter, and really everything you could ask for. So that being said, number one of its biggest cons is really, it's a simple thing. It's got a longer than average wait time for realistic matches just due to the sheer popularity of the plane, but it's still not all too bad. Most of the time you'll still get into a match within 10, 20, or even 30 seconds. Occasionally it might take a few minutes For example, earlier tonight when I was playing, there was a 165 plane queue before me, and because I was flying the A2D-1, I was not getting into a match. Additionally, it is not incredibly agile, again, as mentioned before, and this problem gets worse when carrying the maximum loadout. For these reasons, being that it's not incredibly agile and it has an insane loadout, it will be a priority target for enemies. Most planes, most fighters especially, will go out of their way to try to take you down, even over top of a heavy bomber. And finally, I'd say one of its biggest cons is kind of related to the perception of this plane. It will trick you into thinking it's a dogfighter when really it isn't. You can win in sneak attacks, head-ons, and massive melees, but do not expect to outturn a fighter in a 1v1. So for my own personal scores for this plane, and this is out of 60 points total, I'll go over each individual score and then give you an overall score again out of 60 points. And I'll start off with armament. I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. It is nearly perfect, especially for an attacker, but the guns, while amazing, do not always get the job done versus aerial targets, mostly just when in a dogfight. And additionally, there's not a ton of ammunition choices that really suit it for destroying armored vehicles, but that's kind of the same with most 20mm in game. For speed, I have to give it a 9.5 again out of 10. It has excellent speed, acceleration, and rate of climb. For a 6.7 or 7.0, depending on your preferred game mode, this plane does it all. The rate of climb is as good or better than most early pure jets, and the top speed is ridiculous for a prop, especially for an attacker. The acceleration is also incredible, as it throttles as quickly as a traditional piston engine plane, but this is actually a turboprop. And fun fact about this plane, it actually has two engines merged into one, although it doesn't really play it like that in the game. Rather, it just kind of has them as two separate entities. Now, for the reason that most people probably are interested in purchasing this plane, versatility, I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. With the Skyshark, armament and versatility go hand in hand. Ultimately, this plane can go from being a pure bomber to an attack craft to a dogfighter, all essentially in the span of a few seconds. It has a bomb payload large enough to inflict serious damage to any team, whether by attacking their bases or troops. It can also carry tons of deadly HVAR rockets if you want to go for a more direct attack role. Additionally, in the close air support role, the Skyshark can take out nearly any enemy with bombs and rockets, only to turn around and defend itself from oncoming attackers. On the occasion that you do face lightly armored or unarmored vehicles while in close air support, your cannon will be able to rip through most enemies. The only slight letdown in versatility, as mentioned before, would be said cannons which, while great, do not always attack or kill enemy aircraft and do not penetrate through anything over extremely lightly armored vehicles. Oh, and this will also be able to torpedo enemy player-controlled ships once ships get to that BR. In regards to the Skyshark's handling and agility, I have to give it an 8. Now, this is a tough one to judge. For a plane of this type, it is easily among the best in the game. Overall, compared to fighters, however, not so much. Compared to bombers, however, the Skyshark is extremely agile. Ultimately, it just kind of depends on your preferred role. But overall, this plane is very agile, all things considered. It handles well, and while somewhat slow to control, is stable and is much more agile than almost every other plane of its type. Just don't get caught out and around Japanese fighters or you'll lose almost every dogfight every time. And for the second biggest reason, in my opinion, why somebody might purchase this plane, I'd say the fun factor on it is a 10 out of 10. This plane is possibly the most fun plane I've experienced in War Thunder yet, because although it does feel OP at points, it never feels that way to the point where it feels unfair. You can do everything that you want with this plane, and it will do it well. You can be the best bomber on your team, one of the best dogfighters. You could also be the best attacker or interceptor or really whatever, because this plane does it all. And it makes all of it just so fun. Knowing that you won't lose a ton of silver lions if you die is really just wonderful, especially being that this plane will make it up in almost every single match. It really takes a load off your mind, unlike flying the B-29, where every match is an exercise in futility and you have to have incredible patience just to do anything. This plane is the exact opposite and, quite frankly, does the job of the B-29, but in a much, much better package. Now, for cost effectiveness, this is my rating that kind of details if it's worth spending either the RP, Silver Lions, or in this case, Golden Eagles on the plane, and I have to give it a 10 out of 10. By far and away, in my experience, there are no more cost-effective vehicles than the Skyshark in this game. You may as well be printing money if you're successful with this vehicle. To be fair, you can buy around 2 million Silver Lions with the Golden Eagles that it takes to buy the Skyshark, but in my opinion, it's still very much worth it, again, to buy the Skyshark, especially with vehicles like the American Spitfire LF Mark 9C sells for 6,900 Golden Eagles, and the Calliope, the rocket-firing tank for the Americans, costs 9,740. The 4,890 Golden Eagles are more than worth it, especially if you can get this plane on a discount. As I said before, flying this plane, especially in arcade, and doubly so if you do not die, is like having a license to print Silver Lions. It is really just that easy to do well with this plane. In my 22 matches with the Skyshark, I've earned almost 626,000 Silver Lions with a 68% win rate, which equals nearly 30,000 Silver Lions per match from the Skyshark alone. That's not even my total take from each match where I play, because I do play other planes, especially in arcade. Now, for its overall grade, I have to give it the best grade I've ever given any vehicle in this game thus far, a 56.5 out of 60 points. This plane is nearly perfect. It falls somewhat short in a few categories, like having truly armor-piercing ammo for its guns, or not having the ability to be slightly more agile, but those are more than made up for with its insane weapons capacity and already great speed and agility, again, for its class. Is this plane perfect? No, but it is about as close to being a true jack of all trades as any plane in War Thunder. This plane can quite simply do it all. It is even its own escort plane while flying high altitude bombing missions in arcade. So that all being said, for my final recommendation, as you may have guessed, I have to give this thing 5 out of 5, 2 thumbs up, 10 out of 10, whatever you want to say. Buy this plane. It is incredible. It is really just a one-of-a-kind plane, at least at this point in War Thunder, and I would say is truly worth it. Between its speed, weapons capacity, BR, and just premium bonuses, it is such an excellent plane, and I cannot say enough good things about it. Either way, this is Tankenstein signing out. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned some things about this plane and really about War Thunder. Please subscribe to my channel. It means a ton. And click the notification bell. That, again, also means a ton. And if you don't mind, like, comment, tell me what you guys think about this video. But either way, again, Tankenstein, I'm signing out. It's been great. Hope you guys have a great night, a great day, and a great whatever it is you're doing. Take care, everyone.